we cannot escape the past. This mission of yours is gonna cost you.
I don't accept that.
Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1 is directed by franchise mainstay Christopher McQuarrie, who's directed every Mission Impossible up to now, starting with Rogue Nation. In this film, Ethan Hunt and the IMF team are tracking down a terrifying new weapon that threatens all of humanity if it falls into the wrong hands. With control of the future and the fate of the world at stake, a deadly race around the globe begins. And after being confronted by a mysterious, all-powerful enemy, Ethan is forced to consider that nothing can matter more than the mission, not even the lives of those he cares about most. I'm not exaggerating when I say Mission Impossible consists of some of the best action films I have ever seen. Even though this franchise had a slow start, it really picked up with the third film, and it kept getting better from there. You have to respect a franchise that keeps asking itself, even after 6 movies, how do we make this crazier and better than the last installment, rather than how many more of these can we make before we stop making money? I loved Ghost Protocol and Rogue Nation, but Fallout in particular was easily one of the best action movies I have seen in my life. That movie did so many things that seemed impossible to capture on film, while having a widely entertaining story. So yeah, I was obviously excited to see this one, even if my expectations were way higher than they should be for a modern action blockbuster. It may sound unfair to say I was expecting one of the best action movies of all time, but considering what franchise we're talking about, do you really blame me for thinking that way going in? So with that said, do I think Dead Reckoning lived up to the hype? No. It exceeded it. These films just never disappoint anymore. While I don't love it as much as Fallout, Dead Reckoning blew my mind in a way so few action movies can today. The action set pieces and stunts in this film are on another level of death-defying. McQuarrie knows how to create action sequences that are purely enthralling, perfectly paced, endlessly suspenseful, and phenomenally staged. It's going to be near impossible to name the best action scene in this film, because there are so many highlights throughout the movie, and just when you think one stunt, chase sequence, or action scene blew your mind, the next one comes to top it. It's purely incredible what they've managed to do with this film. This is exactly what every action blockbuster should aspire to be. This might also have the most adrenaline-fueled story in this franchise yet. The action is non-stop. It's just sequence after sequence. The stakes are always high, and there is never a moment that lacks tension. You are on the edge of your seat the entire time, dying to see what happens next. And the story itself is also very relevant to some things that are going on today. This movie has a commentary on the dangers of AI, and while it's very fun to watch this play out, I think this film came at the perfect time considering we're living in an age where AI is taking over everything. People have been studying it, figuring out what it can be used for, grown worried about how it might take things away. Seriously, this film was in development for years. How did they time this release so perfectly? And the best part is that because of how relevant this plot is, you actually believe it. It never comes off as cheesy or ham-fisted with its messaging. Rather, you buy the threat this rogue AI poses instantly. And the film does a fantastic job exploring the endless possibilities of what AI can do for better or worse, and having a concept like that as your main premise for an action film. Despite this film being a part 1, it also felt like a complete experience, which was more than welcome. It didn't feel like I only got half a movie by the time it ended, rather a story with complete character arcs, just with a couple of loose ends that will get resolved later. So even though people will be paying to see the first half of a movie, I think they will walk out satisfied and excited by the experience they had, instead of frustrated that they have to wait who knows how long for the next one. The film is also very funny, the dialogue is sharp, and the cast has electric chemistry with each other, which leads to some absolute riots of comedic moments. There were so many moments where I was laughing hysterically. This franchise has such a tight cast that plays off of each other perfectly in each installment, and especially in this film. Surprise, surprise, Tom Cruise kills it as usual. This man is a scene stealer, and his performance combined with what he's willing to do to give the audience an action experience they'll never forget continues to astound me. If this movie has not secured his status as a legendary actor, I don't know what will. Simon Pegg and Ving Rhames are both extremely entertaining. They have remained this way since the first movie they each appeared in, and at this point I don't think I'll ever get tired of seeing them. Rebecca Ferguson and Haley Atwell are also awesome in this movie, and Atwell's character gets an arc that is unlike anything this franchise has covered before. I found her character to be as interesting as she was entertaining, and her chemistry with Tom Cruise is off the charts. Pom Klementieff is also in this film, which I wasn't expecting, but I loved her in this. I think she's very talented, and it was nice to see her here. The only issue I have with this film is the editing during most of the exposition scenes, not the action sequences. Those looked awesome. But there were points during the dialogue-heavy scenes that looked a little choppy and inconsistent. But that's it. That is the only problem I have with this film. Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1 is a genuine masterpiece in action filmmaking, with an enthralling, adrenaline-fueled story that is elevated by its jaw-dropping set pieces, explosive action sequences, great characters, phenomenal performances, incredible visual flair, strong direction, and Tom Cruise killing it as always. This is absolutely one of the can't-miss movies of the year, right up there with Across the Spider-Verse, John Wick 4, and Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. I can see myself loving this even more than Fallout on rewatch, but for now, this is a close second for the best Mission Impossible film to date, and one of the best action movies I've seen in my life, which at this point is just what I should expect from this franchise's regular output. You're definitely not going to want to miss out on this one. Just like Top Gun Maverick and Fallout before it, this film is a perfect reminder of why we all love going to the cinema, why we love watching summer blockbusters on a large screen with a huge crowd. Basically, everything Nicole Kidman says about the theater experience applies to this movie. I shouldn't even have to say at this point that I'm hyped for part 2. And if this was just the warm-up movie for what's to come, then I know this franchise is never going to lose steam anytime soon. Tom, I don't know what we would do without you. I'm going to give Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1 a 9 out of 10. So those are my thoughts on Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. Feel free to leave your thoughts on the film in the comments below. Thanks for watching. As always, if you like this review and you want to see more, be sure to subscribe to the channel. That really helps me out and shows a great amount of support. And remember to like the video and ring that notification bell to be notified for any upcoming reviews.